So this is the 16th chapter in first PUC, digestion and absorption. Digestion is a hydrolytic process which takes place in alimentary canal, a tube which extends from mouth to anus. It is a process in which the complex substances are broken down into simpler substances for the purpose of absorption and used by the body tissues, that is the digestion. So the sequence of this digestion, assimilation, etc., it includes: number one is ingestion. The process by which the food is taken into the mouth is called ingestion. Ingestion is followed by digestion by the digestive enzymes, and absorption, that will be absorbed into the blood. Assimilation, the entry of nutrients into the cell, is called assimilation. And then finally defecation, the removal of the fecal matter, which is a voluntary process. That is also very important, defecation. Hence the ingestion, digestion, absorption, assimilation and defecation. Digestion is are the important sequence in this lesson. And coming to the inside the mouth, there are three pairs of salivary glands. A pair of salivary glands presented in front of ears called parotid, and below the tongue sublingual and maxillary and submandibular are the three pairs of salivary glands which secrete salivary juice. In turn, salivary juice creates a lysozyme enzyme, which is antibacterial enzyme, and also salivary amylase, which is called tannin. And the dentition, as far as dentition is concerned, it is of cacodont type. That means teeth are lodged inside the socket of bones. And it is diphyodont type, that is in human beings, the two sets of teeth present, milk dentition and permanent. Heterodont type, there are incisors, canines, premolars and molars. So this is about the dentition. And inside the mouth, there is a tongue, a spongy muscular organ attached to the floor by frenulum. So this is the frenulum structure. The tongue rests on the floor through a structure called frenulum. And the tongue consists of papillae as well as the taste buds. And the inside the mouth, the salivary juice secretes, as I told you, lysozyme, antibacterial enzyme, and salivary amylase. Salivary amylase acts on starch, converting it into the maltose. Further digestion takes place in the small intestine, but not in the stomach. That is also very important. 30% of the starch digestion takes place inside the mouth. That is very important. And then here the pH is 6.8, and then the food which leaves the mouth called bolus, and then this bolus enters into the pharynx. Pharynx is a common passage for both food and air. Even the esophagus and the trachea also opens into the pharynx, and it is the smallest part in the digestive system. And epiglottis prevents the entry of food into the glottis or the larynx or glottis. That is very important. And the next food which leaves mouth called bolus enters into the stomach. Stomach is a mechanical mixer, chemical digester, temporary storage sac for the food. And three types of cells are present. One called mucus cells, which secrete mucus, and even the bicarbonates are present, which prevent excoriation, that is of the stomach wall. Excoriation, that is scratches. So because of the acid is present, and it is the mucus and bicarbonates present in the gastric juice that prevents excoriation, which is very, very important. And the food enters into the pharynx and stomach through by means of swallowing or deglutition. This is also very important. Food passes the alimentary canal by means of powerful and contraction, relaxation, movement of the muscles called peristalsis. Food passes the alimentary canal by means of the powerful contraction and relaxation movement of the muscles called peristalsis. This is also very important. And then the mucous cells, as I told you, they are called mucous neck cells. Mucous neck cells secrete mucus, and there are peptic cells or chief cells which secrete the gastric juice, and parietal cells or oxytic cells secrete HCl. HCl bacteria provides acidic medium, extremely acidic inside the stomach. The pH is 1.8, which is extremely acidic. This kind of acidic medium is required for the enzyme secreted by the gastric juice to act on the substrate. And it is the HCl which plays an important, helps in the conversion of pepsinogen to pepsin. In the presence of pepsin, prorenin is converted into renin. Renin acts on milk protein, casein converting it into paracasein, and paracasein with calcium paracaseinate. Pepsin acts on calcium paracaseinate, other proteins, converting them into proteases and peptones. This is how the digestion which takes place in the stomach, that is very, very important. And the folds in the stomach called rugae. And the food which leaves the stomach called chyme. Chyme is a semi-solid in state and semi-acidic in nature, semi-solid in state. This enters into the small intestine. Small intestine can be divisible into the coiled portion called duodenum, jejunum and ileum. Duodenum is a coiled portion into which the bile duct and the pancreatic duct opens. That is, the hepatic duct and pancreatic duct guarded by sphincter of Woody. This is also very important. And the bile duct, here the liver is the largest digestive gland. Liver consists of hepatic lobules, composed of hepatic lobules, and liver is enclosed by a connective tissue called Glisson's capsule. That is very important, and hepatic lobules are present. These hepatic lobules have the central vacuole. The central vacuole contains blood vessels, and the chain of hepatic cells radiate in all directions called hepatic cords. Space between the hepatic cords called sinusoids. Within this, Kupffer cells are present. They are phagocytic in nature. That is the histology of the liver. And coming to the histology of small intestine, also given here, in the histology, the section of the intestine shows the SM serosa. Serosa composed of squamous epithelium. There it is called mesothelium. Next to this, after serosa, there is muscularis. Here in the muscularis, the smooth muscles, longitudinal muscles and circular muscles present, which help in the peristalsis. Next to this is submucosal layer, which consists of the blood vessels, etc. Pairs, patches of the small intestine, and Brunner's glands are also present. Their secretion produces nullifies the acidity of the food. That is also very important. And then, as I told you earlier, this chyme enters into the duodenum. Duodenum is a coiled portion into which hepatic duct and there is the bile duct and as well as pancreatic duct opens. And the hepatic duct brings the bile juice. Bile juice is the only digestive juice which does not contain any enzymes, devoid of enzymes, no enzymes at all, but contain bile salts, bile pigments, and even cholesterol and phospholipids are present in the bile juice, not given so far. Cholesterol and phospholipids present in the bile juice, and it is the bile salts play an important role in the division, that is the splitting up of fats into the small particles, converting them to a soapy mixture called emulsification of fats. So it is the bile juice which plays an important role in emulsification of fats, and also the solubility of EDEK vitamins, that is the fat soluble vitamins. That is about the role of the bile juice, whereas the pancreatic juice, which in turn secretes many enzymes like renin, trypsin, chymotrypsin, pancreatic amylase, pancreatic lipase, nucleotidases, procarboxypeptidases. This trypsin and chymotrypsin, first liberated in the form of trypsinogen and chymotrypsinogen, it is an enzyme enterokinase which helps in the conversion of trypsinogen to trypsin. In the presence of trypsin, chymotrypsinogen is converted into chymotrypsin. Trypsin and chymotrypsin are the proteolytic enzymes act upon the peptones, proteoses, converting them into polypeptides. This is very important. And procarboxypeptidase get activated into the carboxypeptidase that act on polypeptides, converting it into dipeptide, aminopeptide, tripeptide, which is very, very important. Each step is important. Thus, the trypsin, chymotrypsin, carboxypeptidases are the proteolytic enzymes. And the remaining starch, only 30% of starch being digested in the mouth, and digestion of starch will not take, carbohydrate will not take place in the stomach, and only the protein digestion takes place. And in the small intestine, what happens? It is the pancreatic amylase acts on remaining starch, converting it into the maltose again. Thus, the maltose, this enters into the jejunum and ileum. And similarly, there are nucleotidases. All these things are the enzymes secreted by the intestine. And next to this, as I am telling you about the histology of intestine not completed: serosa, muscularis, submucosa, and then above this mucosa. Mucosa contains goblet cells which secretes mucus and keep intestine in wet condition. And there are finger-like projections called intestinal villi, wall of which composed of columnar epithelium, and the core of the villi is lacteal. There is opening called lacteal. In between the villi at the base, there are endocrine cells which secretes which contain goblet cells, and also these endocrine cells secrete intestinal juice called succus entericus. Succus entericus or intestinal juice contains maltase, lactase, sucrase, and enterokinase and eripsin. And eripsin acts upon the dipeptide, aminopeptide, tripeptide, and these proteolytic enzymes, and converting them into the amino acids, the end products of the proteins. Maltase acts on maltose, converting it into two molecules of glucose. Lactase acts on lactose, converting it into galactose and glucose. Sucrase acts on sucrose, converting it into glucose and fructose. Thus, glucose, galactose, fructose are the end products of the carbohydrates. The end products of amino acids. Proteins are the amino acids, and the pancreatic lipase acts on emulsified fats, converting them into fatty acids, and these are the end products of lipid. Thus, lipid digestion will be completed within the duodenum itself. Then it enters into the from the duodenum, jejunum, ileum. In between ileum and cecum, there is ileocecal valve. There is also very important. At the junction where the ileum joins the large intestine, there is a finger-like presence called vermiform appendix, which is a vestigial organ. It has no function, but the presence of which is evidence in support of organic evolution. And then next to this, the thing after this kind of the digestion and all, next is absorption, that is very important. And then the small amounts of glucose and amino acids and even chloride absorbed by means of simple diffusion. Energy is not required for this, but large amount of glucose and amino acids are absorbed by means of active transport at the expenditure of energy. Fructose and some amino acids, they require sodium for the absorption, that is called facilitated transport. And then next to this, the fatty acids and glycerol, they are not absorbed into the blood vessels and they are absorbed into lactate. Before that, they develop these fat globules, the fatty acids and glycerol, they develop a protein coat and together called chylomicrons, and chylomicrons are absorbed into the lactate. This is about the absorption. And various abnormalities of the digestive system. Number one, constipation. Constipation is the irregular movement of the bowels, that is called constipation. And indigestion, feeling of fullness of the stomach, called indigestion. Indigestion is also due to several reasons, that is inadequate secretion of the enzymes and food poisoning, anxiety also, overeating and eating of too much spicy food also causes indigestion. So diarrhea means the elimination of the fecal matter in the form of fluid, that is called diarrhea. Vomiting means emitting the contents from the stomach is called the vomiting. And jaundice is caused because of the elevated levels of bilirubin and biliverdin, the bile pigments, that is characterized by the yellowing of the eyes, especially the white of the eyes, that is called jaundice. Thus, the constipation, indigestion, diarrhea, vomiting, jaundice are the various the abnormalities, that is the diseases associated with the digestive system. I hope I have completed in detail this 16th lesson, digestion and absorption, which is very important. And one things I have forgotten here. Inside the mouth, there are about along with this salivary juice, potassium, chlorine, sodium are present, and they are also present in the salivary juice. And the absorption of certain drugs takes place in the mouth itself, and absorption of alcohol, some sugars takes place even in the stomach itself, and the other absorption of glucose, especially the fructose, amino acid, fatty acids, glycerol. We discussed about this. So anyhow, completed even the 16th chapter, digestion and absorption. Don't forget to subscribe. Please subscribe for further lessons. Okay, thank you.